Welcome to Latent Treasures, a uniquely uplifting podcast filled with inspiring guests to brighten your week. Our show takes inspiration from a lesser-known quote from C.S. Lewis. What we want is not more little books about Christianity, but more little books by Christians on other subjects, with their Christianity latent. While I love books, this is 2020. And let's face it, audio is a lot easier to produce. But you are more than welcome to think of our little podcast as a bunch of little books about various topics, lived by ordinary people. But these people are quite extraordinary in the way their faith drives them and fuels their journey. Journeys on which they're making profound impacts on everyone around them. We hope you'll be blessed by these stories and recognize that inside each of us is the ability to be similarly extraordinary. If you like our show, please subscribe. And if you find any individual show special, please like it and share it freely. Today we have the pleasure of interviewing a tremendous athlete and coach whose physical gifts have made him a standout athlete his entire life. James Townsend is a husband, father, and gym owner who also happens to be a follower of Jesus and truly lives out his belief that God has blessed him to be a blessing to others. He's never afraid to be selfless or put himself second, and as he says numerous times in our interview, it's really not about him. He truly feels his purpose is to allow others to see and believe in Jesus through him, and after hearing more about him, I'm sure you'll agree. We obviously love interviewing and learning about people like James, but to hear his heart and faith coming from an individual who's also been on the receiving end of some pretty nasty racism throughout his life is notable. In these days where there's tremendous racial tension and far too much hate being spread, James is a welcome example of a man who is understandably very frustrated and angry, as well as worried about a lingering evil reality that not only affects himself, but also his kids and his wife, but who also understands not every person is filled with hate or prejudice. His humble Christian heart understands the depth of the human condition while also fueling his courage and bravery in ways that allow him to stand up against racism and injustice in a transparent and open manner. It also welcomes honest conversations about not only his own experiences, but others' experiences, knowing that if we all work to understand each other better, the more we can appreciate each other. We hope you enjoy getting to know more about James, or Jim as he's known. He's authentic as can be, and he knows he's not perfect, just like I'm not, and you're not. However, I'm confident you'll see how amazing the power of Christ is when a person submits to Jesus as Lord and allows themselves to be changed by the Holy Spirit. Again, we also want to thank the people who helped make today's show possible, including Cheyenne Summers, who had provided our cover art, and Mary Rogers, who's provided our show music. Their contact information is also in our full show notes on our website, bethechurch.org. We invite you to visit their sites to support their respective art and music, as they're both amazing, and I know they'd love for you to check out their works further. But now, without further ado, we are honored to introduce you to James Townsend. James Townsend, thank you so much for joining me on our
Thank you for
podcast.
having me.
Yeah. Man, you are, as some of our listeners are going to start to gather quickly, you're part of our initial launch package. So, these are our first handful of episodes, and our goal is to kind of highlight individuals that we know are really living life well. And I mean that from a character and a sense of giving back to the community in a proper way, being a great fixture in the lives of the people around them, as well as people who've accomplished a lot. And that obviously can look different for different people. You are, without any exaggeration, a phenomenal athlete and very, very accomplished. You're still even in your, mid-30s now, right?
Yeah, be 36 in 3 weeks.
Wow, there you go. You're still crushing it. I mean, and I'd love for you to talk more because there's some updated stuff I'm not even familiar with. Yeah, I know I've seen some of your Olympic lifting competitions recently, but just to kind of give a quick overview, some of the things I know that you've done. You were a two-sport at least All-American in high school, right?
Mhm.
Both in sprints and in
Yeah,
football
football and track. Yeah.
as a wide receiver.
Uh-huh.
That led you to it was Iowa originally,
Yeah.
correct?
University of Iowa. Yeah. It led me to the University of Iowa. Started as a true freshman. Played my sophomore year, and then as every athlete or anybody done, I had somebody write my paper, and I ended up getting suspended. So I had to redshirt and sit out that suspension,
Oh
which
man.
was after my sophomore year. So me being an athlete my whole life, I couldn't sit out. I couldn't, I needed to do something. So I went ahead and made the decision to transfer back to my home state of New Jersey, where I was going to high school at
Yeah.
and middle school at. And then, I'm originally from Bronx, New York. So me going back to Jersey and having that metropolitan area was great. And then I had my oldest daughter there as well, so I get to see her every other weekend. But yeah, I wanted to get back into football, and then so I finished my career at University of Rutgers, and then had a brief stint with the Chicago Bears. But I made the personal decision to forego of accepting a contract from the Chicago Bears and just just live a regular life.
Yeah. Well, talk to me about that. And I don't mean to jump around in timeline here too much,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
wasn't aware that you walked away from the Bears. What was that
yeah,
driven
yeah.
by?
Pressure, man. Just once I had got to college, um, the the pressure just became immensely because even though the pressure started early, that I was blind to and I didn't know, that was coming from my family and all that. It magnified as I got to college. Because why? Because I'm one step closer to getting to my goal, which is the NFL. And instead of me playing football for me, I was playing football for other people. And
Yeah.
so, I didn't have the guidance of hey, you need to focus on this, get your schooling right and everything. My focus was on, being with girls and partying, not really focusing on my craft, taking advantage of the God given abilities that I had, that God had blessed me with, and going half ass, on workouts and practice for, exchanging that for wanting to be with women and partying, that was my number one. And so my focus was just all over the place. And,
Yeah.
and that pressure that pressure to be somebody, that pressure to make a life for other people and not myself, it wasn't built and ingrained in me, as I was coming up. It wasn't about, all right, you need to be more focused on this. This is what really matters. Whether or not, if you were to go ahead and get hurt or just a freak accident or whatever, you need this to fall back on. That wasn't, you know, taught to me. It was just all about, hey, football, because you have this skill.
Yeah.
And it led to me to have a big head and everything. And, because I never I got a clean record, never got arrested, never did drugs. I don't smoke. I hate smoking. I drink occasionally, but, it's just the guidance of having a male figure. I didn't have my dad around, so having a male figure in my life, this just it it would have made everything easier for me if I'd have had a male figure in my life. Somebody to look up to instead of trying to be like my brothers. One of my brothers had to go away from some time, and then my other brother, uh, he had his own life to live. To follow his dreams of he married his middle school sweetheart, and then went to college and everything. So it was just me and mom.
Yeah.
And mom had to um, keep the house afloat and work all the time. So it was just like, all right. It was just all right. I got this gift. I just play football. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to school, but then again, all I want to do is play football.
Man. Well, there's so much that I want to unravel here. I could spend hours with you.
Yeah.
Um, so go back even earlier. Had you always been involved in sports as a kid, like before high school?
Always. Since I was like 2 or 3 years old, my uncle was in kickboxing and jujitsu and all that. So I would be the only one out of my brothers that really took to that stuff. Boxing, jujitsu, kickboxing. I was always that little kid that wanted to do it. So it was always fun while he was doing it. He knew he could bring me with him to do it. So like working out and everything, doing the sit-ups, push-ups, I was that kid. And when you're going outside, in the hood, in the projects or the Bronx or whatever, we didn't have, an organization, for track. We would just race in a park or race in the street. That was
Yeah.
our track.
It's bragging rights.
Right. So, me being 3, 4, 5-year-old, I was beating guys who were 10, 11, 12-year-old in foot races.
Wow.
My brothers, they would bet on me and be like, hey, yo, you can't be my little brother. He only 4 or 5. And I would, make money for them. I would beat people in running.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then at some point in time, there was a decision made to maybe give you a better opportunity. They sent you to school in New Jersey, even though you were living in
Yeah.
Bronx.
Yeah. So we ended up moving out to the suburbs in New Jersey, but
Okay.
part of the suburbs in New Jersey were still considered the projects where we were living at. So I ended up going to a school out into the suburbs, Bronx Township, and then I went to a middle school in Willingboro, and then which these areas are like 5 minutes from Philadelphia,
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
so South Jersey. So as I'm navigating through school and playing little league and breaking all the records in little league football, I end up going to a private high school, Catholic high school, which was ranked in the nation. And they sought me out, and which I always wanted to go to a public school because that's where my friends were at. But me, the direction of me wanting to go somewhere where my friends were at, like God had a plan for me to divert away from them. Here,
Yeah.
go to this school, which is better.
Was that hard in a sense? Well, two ways. One, was that hard? Was it, I'm assuming, very different culturally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was very hard because I always was a kid that didn't like to dress up, so having to wear penny loafers and a tie every day and a vest and slacks, it was weird. It was an adjustment, but then again, I overcame that with I'm playing football. I get to display what I can do. And that's what I did. So that adjustment of going to that school came easy.
Okay. Very cool. And were you, I don't know if this is an insensitive question, but I know sometimes when, um, situations like that, some of the kids who are, more local to that school, aren't always welcoming of quote unquote outsiders coming in to play sports, right? Or whatever.
Well,
Were they welcoming all along?
yeah. I mean, unless I was blind to it, I didn't see it because there was already guys before me like Isaac Irby and Avon Coburn who who were Isaac Irby was a young black wide receiver. He set records there and everything too. And then Avon Coburn was a running back there who also set records.
Okay.
And so they had that recognition of having young black athletes that are gifted and that good in football that could go ahead and do marvelous things. So me coming over there and playing, it was just it was an easy transition.
All right. So now you're in high school.
Mm-hmm.
You're obviously doing really well. Like you said, they sought you out. And you started getting recruiting attention.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, high school that I was at was, it's far from a Catholic high school, far from a private high school. I always tell people my high school is like the varsity blues. Like we were like that. We were like I said, we were ranked in the nation. We won the state championship my sophomore year. We were ranked in the nation. People would call us the Air Force because we did 4 or 5 wide receiver spread. My best friend was the #1 running back in the state. He was top 5 in the country. You know, he ended up going to UVA and setting records there. Wally Lundy. And then one of my other good friends, Brian Bennett, he was the top linebacker in the nation, and he went on to Pittsburgh. And me being a wide receiver, I was the top wide receiver in the nation, and top 33 in the nation, as an overall athlete. So we were dynamic, man, and so it was fun. But like I said, it's the attention of being a good athlete, natural, athlete it was starting to get big there, from the girls, from not having to do work, not having to go to school, not really getting in trouble. It was crazy, man. It's crazy how when you're a good athlete, the perks that come with it. And sometimes, most of the time, the perks that come with it aren't good. It looks good to a 16, 17-year-old kid because he don't know no better. If I ain't got to go to school, I'm not going to go to school.
Yeah.
If I ain't, a book report or a paper, and the teacher is just going to overlook it and just give me an A, I'm not going to, say anything. But the only problem that I had was me being black and me, dating white girls.
Yeah. And was that just, I'm a little bit older than you, right? And I went to high school. So I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but I went to high school
Okay.
south of Seattle. And I was blessed as heck. This wasn't the school's history, but we had a phenomenal national ranked team. We won state my sophomore and junior year.
Right.
I got to play with some phenomenal people. Some went pro. So I get that, although I wasn't one of the stars. But it was amazing and life-changing to be around that mentality, one, because it changed my life dramatically. But I saw, just as an outsider, some of that same kind of difficulty that some people had with interracial dating or whatnot, and I couldn't understand it because I never really grew up with anybody who had a problem with anything. Right. So it was just foreign to me. How did you walk through that?
Like I said before, man, I don't know if I was blind to it or what, but it was just, most of the time the girls knew how to hide it. Whenever you're in high school, you rarely went over, the girl's house.
Yeah.
If you went over there, the parents weren't there. And so, but when it came to like going to dances or going out or whatever, it was we were together, or it was basically secrecy. Now that I look back on it, it's basically secrecy, and I mean, it'll be like the teachers would say something. They would say like, hey, you guys, don't be holding hands, or hey, get in the class, or just make it vocal. You know what I mean? Just always make it vocal. And none of my teammates or anybody would say anything.
Right.
But like I said, when I look back on it, I'm like, wow, that like certain things, it's like being very vocal and make sure that they're vocal towards me and not anybody else. It's like, oh, I see the discrimination.
Yeah, that's not cool. So obviously that took a different level when you had your daughter, right?
Right. That's what I was getting ready to get at. Yeah, it definitely took a different level, man. It was, supposedly from what I hear, that, you're not allowed to have a child or anything while you're at a Catholic high school or Catholic school, period.
Okay.
I don't know how true that is, but I was a junior, she was a senior, and she happened to be pregnant. And when that happened, like, teachers were upset, parents were calling in talking about this is not acceptable, he needs to be expelled. Lunch ladies wouldn't serve me lunch.
No
You know?
way.
Yeah, lunch ladies wouldn't. And the great thing about it, man, and I love telling the story, is that the head lunch lady name was Miss Pat, tall, lovely white woman with glasses, and she one day she cursed them all out and was like, you know what? For until you graduate from the school, you're gonna have lunch for free. You don't have to pay anything until you leave. Yeah,
Because she saw how you were being treated.
because she saw it. Because she saw it.
That's
She
crazy.
saw it, and that will always live. That will always live with me.
Oh yeah.
That's the reason why I tell people I refuse to, even though all the stuff that I've been through, as far as racism and bigotry in my life and everything, whether if it's cops or whether if it's parents or whether if it's lunch ladies or whatever, or you know anybody, I would it would I could never hate a white person. I can't. There are others who are great, who
Yeah.
aren't racist,
Yeah.
and they showed me that, just off of experience, they showed me that. So, it'll be very ignorant of me and uneducated of me to hate somebody else because of somebody else's hate that was directed towards me.
Right. But you're, I mean, 16, 17, right? Like, how
Right.
did you, I can't obviously fathom, right? But how did you have the strength and maturity to keep, so much of your success is after this point, right? Like,
Yeah.
how did you navigate that and still have the motivation and the drive inside you versus just being a victim mentality, being angry, just like quitting on
I,
life because you're being treated like garbage?
you know, I, I don't know, man. It's funny. I truly believe that God had me blind to it the whole time. Even when the parents and the principals and all this, were having their talks on the phone or meetings, and I was in the meetings with them. It was like it was going in one ear out the other. I would just, in my mind at that time, always treat it as like, wow, I'm in trouble. Like, they don't, they don't want me, having a kid. That's how it was going in my mind. Like, I shouldn't have a kid. Even though they were saying other things, but I was just internalizing as, all right, they don't want me having a kid. But, you know, we made the decision to go ahead and have unprotected sex. So if I'm man enough to do that, I'm man enough to stick around and take care of my kid,
Right.
regardless of the hate and the bigotry and everything that everybody's saying. I'm going to be here because I didn't have my dad, and I know the feelings of being a young kid and wanting his dad around. I'm not going to do that to my child.
Yeah, no, same boat. I get you there. Man. So you kept on keeping on,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, you eventually got into the University of Iowa.
Right.
Now, was that, well, let me maybe back up a little bit, but
Now, going to Iowa, now that was a culture shock. Even though I'm living here now, but like doing that drive, oh man, and just like I've only time I've been out of New Jersey is when we went down to South Carolina. That's where my family is from.
okay.
Bentonville, South Carolina, and I think I've been down there twice. And my grandparents are from there, and so we've always take that drive. But it's not as dry and open field as it is coming out to the Midwest.
Yeah.
And so taking that drive out Midwest, I was like, I had my head on the window. It's like, what did I get myself into?
Was
Yeah.
that was there no visit before you made that decision?
No. I took a visit out there, but I
Okay.
flew.
Oh,
So,
there we go.
yeah, there's a difference between driving and flying to Iowa, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Having
Yeah.
driven through the Midwest many times, I agree. Um,
Yeah.
and at this time you were still what was the status with your girlfriend and daughter at that time?
Well, at that time, well, little correction. She never was my girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
I
yeah.
I I know how that goes
Girlfriend.
too.
But we, I was a junior, she was a senior, so she graduated. Her parents kicked her out when she was 8 months pregnant because she was having a mixed baby. From their words,
That's crazy.
you're having uh the N with the ER at the end baby. You're having a zebra baby. This and that. They were trying to take her to abortion classes. They were trying to take her to adoption classes, like all this stuff. And she would tell me all this stuff, and we would have to like sneak out. And the thing about it is that like I have such good handwriting. So when I was in school, in my handbook, I would write my own self out of school, just so that I could go to the appointments with her.
Yeah.
I went to all her appointments with her and stuff. And so when they kicked her out when she was 8 months, my mom and my dad opened up the door for her, and she lived with us for like 6 months, and then and it led into my senior year. So me, having to perform my senior year and take care of baby. It was, I don't know, man. I found it fun. I didn't find no problem with it. Like it was just, this is what I have to do. I took it on the chin. It was like, here, my daughter is here. So I'm playing ball. And I'm still able to go out and do stuff. But I'm also taking care of my child at the same time. You
Yeah.
know. So, but when my daughter was 6 months, my mom ended up catching me and her having sex in the house, and my mom didn't like that. She was, oh, you get ready to go off to school, you're gonna get her pregnant again or whatever. And so my mom had to make her leave, and then that's when everything just went downhill between me and her. She went back home, and it became, hey, if you're gonna live here, he can't be here. And so that's, here we are today.
Wow.
Yeah.
That I can only imagine, and I'm sure you feel that deeply too. Like you said, growing up without a father.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
It always was a struggle, man. It was, I remember the dates. May 23rd was our first day. May 23rd, 2003 was our first day in court. I just wanted visitation. She wanted full custody. She wanted me to have 2 hours a week. Like, it's like, come on, like, what are you doing? And she was just telling a whole bunch of lies and in court, and not telling the truth about like how her parents kicked her out and everything, and how my mom opened up the door for her. And it just became like that.
yeah.
Then when on that first day, by me going off to college, the judge ended up putting me on $25, a week, which is cool, whatever, until I get to college. And then when I get my scholarship money, which is a Pell Grant at that time, and then when you're filing for a Pell Grant, you don't know if you're going to get it because it goes off of it depending on how much your parents made. So that first year, I didn't get the Pell Grant, right?
Yeah.
So by me not being able to work and everything, child support was stacking up, right? And so she would use that against me. So when I would come home for Thanksgiving and then Christmas break and everything, I would have to, duck around for the cops. Even though we have a court order that I had every other weekend with curbside pickup. That's how bad they didn't want me at the house. They wanted me, I couldn't get out the car or anything. It was curbside pickup. Yeah. And I still have all these files to this day.
That's crazy.
Curbside pickup. Yeah.
I thought that was a coronavirus thing. Nope.
You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. So, and then, throughout my years being in college, it was always the terms were dictated off of her.
Yeah. So
So
how did you? I mean, like you said, being an athlete in college is a very different experience than being a regular just student.
right,
But your schedule's massively intense. The pressure's massively intense. If you're not performing, you don't know what's going on next season, right?
right.
You're competing for a spot or your spot and keeping your spot. How did you handle all that pressure and all that distraction in the midst of trying to be successful at school?
Well, at that moment, it was like, it was kind of like, all right, she's dictating the terms. She's not allowing me to call her. She's not answering the phone. I can't see my, I can't, talk to my daughter on the phone. So, while I'm there at school, I started, that's where it was like I said, women and partying was my addiction. That was like my fix to get to mask all the hurt, the pressure and everything. Right. So while I'm at school, it was like, all right, I'm playing Big Ten ball. I'm starting out there, fans, women, like that was my fix.
Gotcha.
And so it was like, I was masking the hurt, deep down inside.
Okay. So who you are now is massively different.
Massively different.
As a preview, we'll dig into it, but as a preview to it, when did that maturity and acting more like a man start to occur?
It was going at the end of my senior year.
Okay.
Like I think I was over football at that time. Yeah, I was over football at that time. It just wasn't, it wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
Towards the end of my career, I was having a whole bunch of depression problems, and that me festering all that hurt was starting to come out.
Okay.
And at one point my senior year, I tried to commit suicide, and ended up in a mental home, and I had to be there for like a whole week. And I remember like the people that really needed to be in there were telling me I don't belong in it. They were like, they would look at me like, you don't belong in here. They were like, they had their problems, and you could see that they had problems. But when they would talk to me, it was almost as if that like they fixed up and was a normal person. And that to me, that felt like that those were angels. Like that was God talking to me, saying, "You don't belong here. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You don't belong here."
Yeah, man. There are so many thoughts going through my head. I am very good friends with, and was even roommates with it for a period of my life with a guy who was one of the tackles at USC, and he came to that same conclusion that one, it wasn't fun anymore. Obviously to play at that level, I think requires a certain level of massive confidence, whether you call it ego, cockiness, confidence, whatever.
The attention. You can't have any outside. If you're looking to be the man, if you're looking to be, have a 10, 15-year career in the NBA, MLB, or the NFL, that has to be your jam. That has to be your number one. In order to get those big contracts, you have to perform when you come into college, when you leave college, in order to get picked up. That you can't have no outside distraction. Some people are built for it and some not.
Yeah.
Being mentally grown up, like I said, as I said earlier, if I'd have had a male figure in the house to help guide me along the way, build that foundation, I'll probably either be retiring right now or still playing.
Yeah.
Because I was mentally weak. I didn't want to work hard because I've always felt like I didn't need to work hard because I'm naturally talented. Like, why do I need to do this? Why didn't I could do that in my sleep? That's how I felt. I was confident and cocky in myself that I didn't need to work hard. But now when I see it, it's like that's a dangerous competition. If you got somebody with a mentality that can work hard and have the natural ability, sky's the limits. I mean, look at Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
He's a prime example right there.
Yeah.
That's
a good point. Okay, so coming out of college, did you go? What happened with the Bears? You got signed. Did you spend time on practice squad or anything, or were you on the 53 man? Or
I didn't get drafted. I had free agency, so I went out there with to what they call I forgot what they call it. It's like when only the rookies come in, right?
Like rookie camp kind of thing.
Yeah. Like a rookie mini camp for 4 days out in Chicago, and then they wanted me to come back for OTAs to do OTAs. I went back out there, and then at the end of the OTAs, they was like, "Hey, we love your speed, we love your talent. We want to offer you, a contract," which was for 435. 435. And I remember I was like, all right, I was like, um, can I think about it? And they were like, yeah, sure, we'll give you to the end of the day, you know. And at that time when I said, can I think about it, I went to go talk to their chaplain of that team who was a former player. And I was just telling him my feelings on like me not feeling anymore. I need to get better in here. In order for me to be successful in life, I have to be better in here. So I want to be better in here so I could be a better man, a better father for my daughter, and then a better husband for my future wife. And he didn't try to persuade me or nothing. It was like, once again, there go that angel. He was like, you know what? I understand. I commend you, because in order to be here and to be successful, in order to be successful in anything, you have to invest. And from what I'm hearing, it sounds like you're 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And I just told him, yeah, I just have so much pressure, and I have a little one at home, and I just need to be better, not just for myself but for her. And so I ended up walking away, and knew what came with that. I knew going back home to South Jersey, to the hood. I knew that, you know, what are you doing here? You could be, and that's what I got. You're stupid. You should have took that money. Like, why? Like, you know, I've been there for you, through little league on up. We supposed to be set and this and that, but nobody understood what I was going through mentally and emotionally. Nobody wanted to understood that I was hurting.
Yeah.
Family members. My mom at the time, she didn't want to. Nobody understood that me walking away was better for me. I'm better than money, regardless of any money. I'm better than money. Money will always be there. Money is going to be there even when I leave this earth. But until then, I need to be better. Not just for myself, not just for my daughter, not just for my future wife, future kids, but for society, for those outside of my family that needs me. Life is bigger than me. And that's the decision that I made. And sometimes the cards that you are dealt with, you try to play them right, and then and those are your cards. It ain't nobody else's cards. We play cards for a reason, right? But nobody can see it. So I dealt my cards, and I knew whether if it was going to be a good hand or a bad hand, that I knew what would come with it, and I took it on the chin.
Did you feel like you were still healing
That I was healing.
relative to, like you said, your senior year of college? You ended up in the hospital.
Yeah,
And do you
and
feel
that
like
and
at
that's
that
the
time?
thing. And that's the thing. When I was in the hospital, I was going through. I was training. I was in the middle. I was like 2 weeks out from doing my pro day. I was 2 weeks out from doing my pro day, and I'm in the hospital. I'm in the mental hospital because I almost tried to end my life. And it was like when I got out of there, it was like I'm right back to to what put me in there. And so I just took it as like, all right, this is what I have to do.
Okay.
And even though I performed, I mean, like I said, I could perform in my sleep, and but wholeheartedly, I just knew it wasn't for me. That's like certain guys that's done with boxing and trying to come back and the fight and everything. Is when it's done, man. Once you lose the happiness and love for something, it's hard to get back. Hard.
Yeah. So how did you pivot? Like, where did you go from there? What did you kind of set out, or did you have your sights set on a new course, or were you just kind of take some time, feel
No,
it out?
no, I didn't. It was like God stripped me naked and just say, I'm gonna rebuild you up. That whole year and a half, from 2008 to 2010, that whole year and a half, it was dark. It was dark. What I mean by dark, I mean by dark mentally, like
Yeah.
having to deal with stuff. Trying to be the father that I want to be to a 6, 7 year old at the time, and trying to get her to understand. And it was a challenge because I felt as if I was trying to put so much into it and make up for the years that her mother and her family kept me from, that it was only doing so much damage. So, and then by me having to live with walking around that, that's Jim Jim. He's Jim Jim. That's my nickname, Jim Jim. So everybody know me back home as Jim Jim. So it's like, you know, almost as if that people were categorizing me as like a statistic. That, oh, he's just another one that's just back home. He had all the skills and everything. But to me, I took it different because I didn't do drugs. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't rob anybody. I didn't do what the negative narrative is about young black boys that come from the hood. It was just that I want to get better for me, not for you, not for anybody, just for me. And so, it still led into me, going out to clubs, partying, being with girls, and when I look back on it, man, Chad, I see it as that I was looking for comfort. I was looking for love. I was looking for somebody to love me from women and from partying, and being that person is because I feel as if I didn't get that when I was growing up. You know,
Yeah.
like it's like the same thing when they say, women go out and be with this guy and this and that because they looking for love. It was almost like the same thing for me.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, there's that intimacy that of not, I don't necessarily mean physical intimacy, but there's that intimacy
right,
of somebody knowing you, right? And being
right,
able to relate
right,
to what you're walking through and understand why would you make that decision, right? So even,
right, right,
just listening to your story, there's all these people around you that are close to you,
hmm
right? Especially on paper,
right,
that struggle to understand why you would make a decision to walk away,
right,
and that's going to
right,
leave you feeling like unheard, unknown as well. So I completely get the idea of
right.
seeking um, that personal intimacy with
hmm
wherever you could find it, and not knowing at that age. I mean, we don't know squat at that age, right? So
you know,
we go looking
22,
for it wherever we
23.
can find it.
Yeah, yeah, right,
Yeah,
right.
that's amazing. So were there any things that were going on in that year and a half, 2008 to 2010, that really were instrumental in rebuilding you? Or was it just that process and you just kind of walked through it
Yeah,
yourself?
yeah. It was the process. It was yeah. It was just the process. I had a place. I lost the place. And I ended back at my mom's. I'm laying on my mom's floor. It was just the process. I'm seeing, I'm watching college football or the NFL, and I'm seeing former teammates and friends playing. But that didn't me seeing them play, that didn't build bitterness towards me making that decision. It was just like okay, yeah, I played with them. You know, okay, that could have been me, but it's not for me.
Yeah,
Okay,
different path.
yeah, different path. Those. You know, okay, I'm glad I ain't got to go through being at the Hale Center or the football complex for 18 hours a day, and then having to do 10 hours of study hall, or trying to be with this girl and partying and socialize, and then have to get back up at 6, 7 in the morning and repeat 18 hours of football for 4 or 5 years. Like that's draining, man.
It's
That's just
extremely.
people want to know what's it like to be a college athlete. By the time you get to your junior year, you're gonna be like, man, I want to be a regular student. And this is it's crazy, you
Yeah.
know. So it came to a point to where 2010, um, I felt the change. I felt the shift for some reason. That summer going into 2010, I felt the shift for some reason. I felt like, my one of my best friends just had got married, and just seeing that and seeing his happiness, I was like, wow, that's dope. And then a month later, I get a message from my wife, who we met at Iowa, but hung around the same circle, but never talked, never dated, none of that. We lost we lost contact when I left in 2005. We reconnected on Facebook in 2009. Still didn't talk, and then that year later, she wrote me a message on my birthday. It was like, "Hey, happy birthday!" But I just want to tell you that I had a dream about you, that we were married, that we were in love, you know, planning our wedding, we planned our life together and everything. And I felt like you should have been right next to me because my dream was that vivid. But, and she told me that, right?
Out of the blue.
Since 2003. Yeah. The only time when we talk is when I was going down into the cafeteria and she's coming up and she was wearing this shirt and she was looking very beautiful. And I was like, damn, that's the only thing I said to her, And, and, from 2003 to 2010, for her to have that confidence and, sending me that message, that's where everything changed at.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So, what were you doing with your time, 2008 to 2010?
I was working at Target. I was working at LA Fitness. I was training Paul the Sixth High School in South Jersey, partying. Then I was working at Home Depot, not Home, Home Depot late at night. The freight and all that.
Yeah.
I was just doing stuff that, and everywhere I went, people were saying, "What are you doing here? You should be on a," and they're big Eagles fans down there. You should be on the Eagles practice squad, or you should be on the Eagles roster. Like, what are you doing here? Like, no way you should be working. You should be doing this and making that money. And just me hearing that, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" I just knew that God didn't want me to be at home in Jersey in a project, in the hood. He didn't want me there. He didn't want me in the NFL. He wanted me to be, with my wife and out in California.
So you guys reconnected.
Yeah.
And obviously you got out of South Jersey, right? I came across you here in Southern California, right? But what was that process? How did you guys reconnect?
So
along the way?
Funny thing is, my birthday is June 16th. She was transitioning. She's a financial advisor. So she's working with one firm in Minnesota. And at that time, when she sent me the message, she was transitioning from Minnesota out to LA to be with another firm. And so from June to August, we talked every day on the phone and texting. We're talking. And then when she finally moved out there in the beginning of August 1st, August 7th, August 8th, after 2 months of talking, I decided to book a one-way without her knowing, a one-way. Something just told me to go ahead and book a one-way. And I came out to California. I dropped everything I was doing. I left Home Depot, told my mom I was leaving, I ain't coming back, and I was, left.
Wow.
Booked the one-way. And and she could have been creeped out too, right? Just like how I could have been creeped out by her message, she could have been creeped out too. And it was we're living her dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. So there's boy, we'll connect again after this, because I want obviously this to focus on your story, and it's awesome. I'm just learning how much there are pieces of our lives that are very similar. So I'll share those with you another time. So now you're it's 2010 still, or 11?
2010.
And you're out in LA, and you've got nothing to stand on other than some dollars in your pocket, I'm assuming, and a woman that you're excited to catch up with and surprise. Where's that go? Does she?
Right then and there. Excuse me. We moved in together. We're dating, and we get engaged in February. So 7 months later, we get engaged. And then in February, that's when I started working for the UFC and training fighters for boxing. And then that's where, I started getting, my passion back. You know, I really started getting my passion back because as we are dating in September, we decided to go ahead and give our life over to Christ because our third week out in LA, we go to this party, this industry party, and we met a guy, and he was like, "You guys are dating?" He's like, "You guys are very beautiful." He's like, "You guys are dating?" I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Get Christ in your life." I was like, "Okay," because I grew up, Baptist and everything. Didn't really gel with Baptist and always having to be in a suit every Sunday and look apart like that. It just didn't sit right with me. And she grew up Catholic, but he was like, get Christ in the center of in your relationship, make him the foundation. We like, okay. So he invited us to church the next week, and the church is off of 7th and Spring. No, I'm sorry, 5th and Spring, and it's at the LA Theater in downtown LA, and it's 2 blocks away from Skid Row.
Yeah.
And it's called New City Church. So when I mean everybody there, from homeless, former alcoholics, offenders, just everybody, white, black, Asian, everybody is in this church, and they're not in a suit. They coming as they are,
Yep.
and that then right in there, we gave our life because we felt such a connection that, like, with a very diverse, multicultural church, that this is who the church is. It's not just a building; it's us, the people. And that our first sermon was on Ephesians 5:21-33, relationships, marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, we hear you. We hear you. And it just set right with our soul. And ever since then, man, and that's when I started to see my purpose and find my purpose in life.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I love that story. So she kept working as a financial advisor.
Right,
You kept working with UFC. How long
right.
did that carry on?
For 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, um, well, to a degree, I'll start with where did you go from there?
And
Like,
then I see I'm doing I'm doing my Olympic weightlifting and stuff that I did in college and everything. I'm doing the normal global gym, curls for the girls in the mirror, all that stuff, and getting big. But um, this guy was like, "Hey, you should check out this new workout. It's called CrossFit," and he showed me 13.5. And it's Rich Froning and Khalifa, and it was Camille and Sam Briggs, and they were doing the every 4 minutes on the minutes, 3 rounds of 15 thrusters, 15 chest bars. I was like, yo, this is exciting. I was like, I need to start doing this. Like, this is awesome. And then that's when I left there and wanted to try to get into CrossFit. But then coming to find out that, like, I wanted to be an owner. I wanted to own my own business. I was tired of working for somebody. I wanted to own my own business and help others. And then, the rest is history. CrossFit was able for me to keep showing my God-given abilities to the world, to others, to let me know that even though I played almost 20 years of football from little league on up, that I unscathed football with no head injuries, no major injuries. Only had 2 surgeries, and that was just a microfracture surgery. No, 3 surgeries: a microfracture surgery, plantar fascia, and a sports hernia. You know, tore my adductor. But other than that, those are recoverable injuries.
yeah.
But CrossFit still brought out the athleticism in me, and
Yeah. And
and
the competition right there.
the
Yeah.
competition of it, right? Yeah, yeah. So
That's awesome.
right there, man.
So it probably lit that fire in you, like, because you walk away from competition, even though you're still into fitness and love it and everything, and you're
Right.
still training.
Right.
I know that lack of I don't know if you had this. I've had this conversation with myself so many times when competition wasn't present. Like, what is the purpose of training? Why am I doing
Right.
this?
No. Yeah. I mean, that's from when I decided to walk away from the Chicago Bears, I had to find my identity. I mean, I thought I had to be somebody for so many years. That's one of the things I was struggling with. It's like, who am I? Who am I? But God made me realize that I'm more than being an athlete. I'm more than being a football player. What He gracefully and humbly allowed me to learn from 3 years old all the way up to now is that He had me learn that and become this athlete that He blessed me with to bless others, because it's not about me. It's not about me. I feel as if that, like, he had me go down that path at that moment to take me over here to use it for His purpose and for somebody else. And now what I'm doing now, man, I love it more than football.
Oh,
Than I
I
ever
can
did.
see that.
Yeah, I love it more than football than I ever did than I ever did. When I'm training my athletes now that are 15, 16, I'm like, if I was your age and this was around, oh my gosh. I mean, like, this, what these young kids have now, what they can do, man, is just, I wish I was doing that. You know,
Yeah.
There's no pressure in it. There's no pressure for you to be great. You know,
Yeah. And it just develops you in so many ways, mentally,
so many
emotionally.
ways. Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and you're obviously still competing. Have you competed all along through? So I know that you were, gunning pretty hard on the CrossFit world, right?
yeah, yeah. I was going at it hard for CrossFit. With CrossFit is like, or with anything, if I'm a student of the game, and I'm pretty sure you're probably a student of the game too. It's like, you know, as a wide receiver, I knew how to run my routes, where the linebacker was going to be, how to run a stick route off a linebacker and everything, or what the quarterback sees and the coverage and everything. Like, I'm a student of the game. Like I can understand it. Like I understand how to train for it and everything. And
Yeah.
that was the same. That's the same approach that I took with CrossFit. Like, coming into CrossFit, being brand new, knowing that my natural ability may be, spectacular to some, but it can only get you so far. There's more to it to be a great CrossFit athlete than just, being able to jump high and deadlift a lot and power clean a lot and all that, which I can do and be that natural God-given, talented athlete. But CrossFit exposes, CrossFit exposes all that. You know,
Yeah.
could I have been a great CrossFit athlete, up there at the games? I don't know if my body allowed me to be that, because I'm fast twitch dominant.
Yeah.
You know, my motor is like a Lamborghini. It's just my energy is not
It's not built for
mixed.
500 days at Le Mans.
No, 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 no. It's not built for CrossFit.
Yeah.
Now, weightlifting, that's different. If
Yeah.
I would have got weightlifting at the time of 2013, and dedicated all my time that I did with CrossFit into it, yeah, I could see myself at the Olympics this year or next year. Because as I'm getting older, I'm getting better, I'm getting stronger.
It's
It's
such a technical
weird.
sport, right?
Yeah,
Such a
yeah.
technical sport. I mean, I think the hardest thing for me, I'm not built for CrossFit either. You've seen me. But I think the hardest thing with CrossFit is the management of it.
Mhm.
It's the planning of it. It's the strategy behind it. It's of
Right,
pacing yourself to not burn out. And
right.
that
But
was
that's right,
that's a
right.
totally different world than
Yeah,
anything I've ever been
yeah.
in.
But that's what I love about the sport. Is that, like I said, I'm a student of the game, so I've really dialed in to understand, because I know how to train as an athlete, just a natural athlete, but it's no different than training an athlete for CrossFit. It's no different than training an athlete for football or for basketball, baseball, track. the training, the periodizations and everything is no different. So I like to approach it that same way. I like to give my athletes, a off season, an in season, a mid season, what I mean, of training, and then hitting the energy systems and their rest times and what they need to do and it's fun, man. It's just so much fun because I get to sit back and not be at the forefront of somebody's you know somebody's dream. I get to live my dream of bettering somebody else. I get to invest my time and my love and my care into my athletes. I call my athletes the members of my gym. I call them athletes because if you're a member of my gym, you're in there. You're an athlete. You're doing athletic stuff. You're not a member. You're an athlete. And I joke and I joke with them because I was like, hey, are you a member today or you're an athlete?
Got to remind them. No, but I've gotten to train with you a handful of times, while you were still in California, and you stood out. Not to take anything away from other coaches that I've worked with in the CrossFit realm or gymnastics realm, but you stood out instantly, partly because it's very clear that you care so much about everybody, and you invest that time in. But it is like you just said, you approach it very systematically, right? As a student of the process, and just your thoroughness, and it's just clear you not only want to equip everybody to get the best out of them, but you know how. And
right. Yeah.
you were more effective in a handful of things that we worked on than is even in communication.
Right.
In a just phenomenally awesome way. So I couldn't encourage anybody listening who's anywhere near where your gym in Iowa to check you out if they're at all interested in working with a phenomenally gifted teacher or
Thank
coach. But no, that's awesome. And now you're still balancing that. Obviously, you're still training yourself. And at 35, 36, Olympic powerlifting is a different world. There's not like a master's level. Like people of all ages are at the Olympic level.
In Olympic weightlifting, yeah, there's if you have the numbers in that weight class to qualify, there's a certain amount of a events or meets that you have to do in order to qualify for the Olympics. And for the Olympics, it's hard. I mean, because there's a lot of strong guys out there. There's lots, and that's what I love about CrossFit and Olympic weightlifting is that before when I was playing football, I didn't have to work hard, but now that I'm in a different sport, I appreciate working hard now. That's all I want to do is just work hard, and I find the beauty in that. And then with Olympic weightlifting, I mean, it's just power everything.
Yeah.
I don't need to squat. I love squatting when it's front squat or back squat, man. But when you got to catch a clean and you're that big vein pop out your neck and you standing up and then you got to breathe. You seeing stars. I hate that.
Well, I mean, it is obviously explosive, all right, but and I'm sure you can testify to this far better than I can, but it's so technically important, like a millimeter one way or the other, and your balance is completely different,
Oh yeah.
and where you catch. I think that's part of what makes it so exciting, and I appreciate watching it because it doesn't look, especially people who are very well trained at it, they make it look so easy, but the amount of technical accuracy in order to actually push significant volume is phenomenal.
Right. Yeah, it's like repetition after repetition. It's like, and it starts from your lift off. It also starts from your placement on where you're putting your feet at when you get ready to, set up for the bar. That lift off is important too. Because you have to stay tight and you have to put all your energy and your power into that lift. And if that drive or that bar path, you know, come out just maybe an inch away, it could throw you off just like that, coming forward or backwards.
Yeah.
You know, it's yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun because you get to see it, you get to do the lean, you know, and stuff, and you know, it's fun, man. Yeah, if I would have got into this really early, I mean, that would have been my career for years over football.
Interesting. Very, very cool. Well, and like you said, it became probably early on, you were playing football for other people instead of,
Right.
yourself. Um, and for those who don't know, obviously you're in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Des Moines, Iowa. Yep.
Yeah, outside of Des Moines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your gym isn't just a CrossFit gym. You have a
Nope.
powerlifting element. You have a sports
Right.
specific training
Yep.
element and
Yep.
a CrossFit element, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Uh,
it's called the Brave One Gym, and we have Lion Brave CrossFit. We're affiliated with CrossFit, and then we also affiliated with USAW for weightlifting, and then sports performance. So you know, Lion Brave CrossFit, TBO weightlifting, and then TBO sports performance. So you
very,
know, I
very
want
cool.
to open up a gym that's just not just appeases to the masses of CrossFitters, but you know, just allow others and appease to the community. Like, hey, if you want to get out of the global gym setting and you want to come into a gym to where you actually know the coach, you actually know people, you know, in the gym, and people actually talk to you and actually want to, you know, help you better yourself, make you brave, not only on the inside of the gym but also outside of the gym. It's you know, it's not just a generic gym for CrossFit. It's the
Yeah,
Brave One Gym. You know.
that's awesome. I know. I saw something that you had posted not too terribly long ago about you were in an Olympic competition and
Mm-hmm.
sorry, Olympic style competition. You were doing a powerlifting competition, and you can tell us a little bit more about Juggernaut and kind of what that's about. But I know that you had posted something along the lines of um, it was a broadcast event, and your wife's mom, I believe, had brought in like her laptop and hooked it up to the restaurant or this place's
Right.
TV and had
Yeah.
everybody kind of behind, who was there like supporting and cheering. And um, one, being in an event and a sport that you are loving much more deeply, obviously, than you've described, the at least the latter half of your football career,
Right.
and being in this phenomenal marriage that you guys have, um, and having your mother-in-law be so supportive and just the opposite, frankly, of a lot of your childhood experiences. Talk about that, and just obviously that's got to be a blessing to you too. But share
Yeah.
that story a little bit with everybody, because I think that side one needs to be shared too, right? It's
Right.
not everybody out there, like you said,
Right.
are judgmental
Right.
or evaluate a person without
Racist.
knowing
Right.
them.
Right. 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 So yeah, it was. You know, my wife is from a town of 1,500 people, um, northwest Iowa. Sheldon is the hometown, and basically when we go back, I'm like the only black guy there, you know. And you know, my wife, she's white, so um, when we, you know, in that town, in just northwest Iowa, period, is really conservative, but also it's known for its racial, um, it's known for its racial, you know,
Tension.
tendencies, and it's known for its racial atmosphere there. You know, basically given by one of their representatives, Steve King. I'm pretty sure the listeners or anybody could go ahead and look him up, but he's not known for being very kind to people, you know, my color or you know my community, but but for her to be from that area up there, and me being at one of my USAW meets, for my mother-in-law who is white to be able to go to a small town bar, take her laptop and broadcast it, and have everybody in there watch her black her black son-in-law. Yeah, that's huge. The ball's on her. It's just that's huge, man. That just lets me know, and just solidify that, like, she accepts me. Not that I was in denial of it or whatever, but it just solidifies that she's proud of her black son-in-law.
Yeah.
And for her to do that, and the people in there watching it, and then not judge her, like, I don't know, from the picture they were watching, but a lot of the time most racists like to keep their racist feelings to themselves. So she probably got her and my father-in-law probably got looks and words or whatever mumbled, but she was brave in that moment.
Yeah, for sure.
The time, and she's brave all the time, and it was just that was so cool, man. That was just so cool, and especially in the times that's going on now, that was amazing. That was amazing.
Yeah. Um, one, having a mixed family, right?
Right.
How do you teach your kids? How do you mentor them for the world they're growing up in, and preparing them to be strong enough to handle it, as well as God-centered enough to handle it appropriately? How do you approach that?
Well, first, our family and our beliefs are built on the foundation of Jesus, personal relationship. And, you, we're all human, and we're all going to get mad. We're all going to get worried. We're all going to say certain things or whatever, but you can't allow your character, your anger, and your words make you the person that you want to be at that moment and going to be in the future. So I tell my daughters, you are brave, you are strong, you are confident. No matter what goes on in life, you're going to have barriers, but you got to be confident, brave, and strong enough to break down those barriers, no matter what. And that goes with people. There's certain people out there who not going to like you. There's coming from the white community and coming from the black community. Coming from the white community because you're black. Coming from the black community because you're white. So you'll get it from both sides. But that shouldn't allow you to fester in that hate for white people, and that shouldn't allow you to fester in that hate for black people, Spanish, Asian, no matter what. Understand what history is, educate yourself on what history is, but don't engage into so much of the hate of them hating you. Yes, some people will have an idea of who you should be, you know, who you shouldn't be, or whatever, but that's their problem. You know, allow them to see who you are and love you by your character. And that's how you judge people. Judge somebody by their character, not by the way they look. You know, I can't. As much as I want to protect my girls, and it hurts me, and it makes me tear up and get angry at the same time because I always want to be their Superman, no matter what. I always want to protect them, but they have to be brave, they have to be strong, and they have to be confident. You know, every day of their lives. It's a certain battle that they must overcome and fight because of who they are. They're young black women, just like their father. No matter what, everybody is not the same. Everybody's not going to believe in God. Everybody's not going to believe that black and white people should mix. Everybody's not going to believe that black people are good or white people are good. But can't let them you can't let them deter you from who you are, and the values that your mother and father instilled in them. It's just, that's what, by them being young black girls, they will have it a little bit harder, a little bit, distractions, a little bit setbacks or whatever. People would try to hold them back, but just gotta be brave, strong, and confident, and to know that you could break those barriers down, man.
Yeah.
And hope in that time when they get older, I did my part in helping the community and helping the world to where at least when they get older and their generation is coming up, it's somewhat better. It's not staying here or going here, but it's going here where the barrier is being broken down.
Yeah. So there's this concept of, knowing who you are in Christ, right? Um, and that has a massive power to instill in each of us, a certain sense of peace. But in your circumstance, in your daughter's circumstance, uh, the, are there different challenges to that because of being black or half black, or is that hard to marry with reality in everyday life, or
And
does it fit well?
in what way? What you mean?
So, like you said, there's going to be people who have different opinions of, our qualities or our characters or what we're about, or um, just because of who we are, right?
Right.
And at the same time, our truth is, obviously from a Christian perspective, understanding who we are as God's creation and God's child, and being part of, the body, and our, our future is certain. And who we are is certain as his creation, and that includes everybody, obviously not just us, right? And thankfully we've been given the grace to kind of understand that clearly
Right.
through the gospel and whatnot. But
Right.
is that ever hard to translate? I don't know if I'm even asking it the right way, but is it ever hard to reconcile that with just the everyday life?
No, well, no, in a way it is, but then it's not. Being a follower of Christ, you have to realize that you know as hard as it is for everybody. You just have to love everybody. No matter what, because He did it. He paved the way for us. In order for people to believe in Christ, believe in His words, believe in His love, believe in God, is that they need to see it through us. When
Yeah.
people see my happiness or what I'm doing, I take no credit. And I say that's just Christ to me. That's just Christ to me. And Christ would allow me and my girls to know that they aren't less. That they aren't dogs. That they aren't defined by their hair, by their skin color, or anything. They're not. They are loved, just as that person that is telling you that you are less because you're black or whatever. They are loved too, no matter what. And for anybody to even say that or fix their mouth to say that, is they're hurting from some side. They're hurting from some side that's in them that happened in their life or whatever. But if you were to let it roll off of you and show grace, I guarantee you that person is gonna be like, wow, it didn't even phase her. And then when you run into that person again, or maybe if you don't ever run into that person again, it's always going to be on that person's mind, and then God will send somebody else into that person's life, and they will want to be like, oh, you know what, I was mean to this person or whatever, and it just rolled off her shoulders, and she just said bless you, or he just said bless me, and I pray for you, and that stuck with me. Why did they say that? Why did she act like that? And maybe hopefully somebody could break it down for them. But it's just like you said, it's just all about knowing our truth. I know that I'm not a thug. I know that I'm not a robber. I know that I'm a good father. I know that the negative narrative that are put out there for blacks and people of color, I know that I'm not that. So that's my truth, because I know that not just because of who I am, but also because of who I am in Christ. You know, I know I am loved. So in order to get rid of that negative narrative that are about blacks and people of color is we have to know our truth and allow that truth to fester through love to everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. The when I've gotten to observe your daughters far more than I know them, obviously. But when I look at them, everything that you talk about and what you model for them, I think shows through in them in beautiful ways. They're both young. Um, they're they're both already, very accomplished, especially for their age in what they're capable of doing athletically. But just share with everybody. Brag on your daughters a little bit because they're awesome to see. I know they're on your social media quite a bit, and we'll put links in the show notes to describe where people can follow you. Um, but they're clearly taken after their dad and their mom, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and I think that's a beautiful thing, and I think it's a testament to your humbleness, your character, your inner drive and your fire, how you treat other people, as well as obviously your genetic gifts that they've gotten to benefit from as well.
yeah. It's I know, man. It's a beautiful thing that they get to see what I get to do and then take to it, and love it. I know it's with P, my 6-year-old. She just that girl. She just reminded me of myself. Just like how I told you how I was with my uncles and with with me. She does the same. She takes to it and she loves it. It's never forced. Whenever I want her to stop or not do anything, she'll throw a fit because she wants to do it. She wants to get better at it. She wants to do more. She wants to be strong. She wants to be brave. She wants to be confident, and that's already instilled in her heart and then mentally. And she's very gifted to be 6-year old. I get a lot of pushback because of the stuff that she can do, but there's levels to this, right? We're all not genetically the same. We're all genetically engineered differently, and so there are you know for what she can do, I wouldn't say my youngest could do just yet. They just my 3-year old. They're just different.
Yeah,
My P athleticism is up here. My youngest is just right here, but my youngest takes to it. She understands. She follows. She understands and she follows it because Sissy is doing it. But but she loves being in there with me as well. But it's just for her to have that inspiration coming from big sister and to see big sister doing it, then it motivates her to be brave, strong, and confident too. So it's fun, man. Especially them being girls too. Breaking down barriers and the negative narrative about women being in the gym place and working out, and they're 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 just awesome, man. They're just awesome. And but the whole thing is not to make them these powerful athletes. I could care less about that. I could care less about that. My goal is to make them brave, strong, and confident for whatever it is they want to do. Whatever it is and carry that into being a lawyer, carry that into being a judge, carry that into being, if you want to try to go to be the next president, whatever. You are brave, you are strong, you are confident. It's not just about physical. It's
yeah.
about emotionally, and it's yeah, that's
I think I think that shows again, just observing through what you share at times. You've shared some great videos of your 6-year-old really being challenged by something and kind of being fearful, and then
yeah,
kind of walking her through the
yeah.
the
Oh
the
yeah,
courage
yeah,
it takes to go
man,
into it.
yeah,
And it is very clear. It's not about obviously they'll have opportunities athletically, but
yep,
it's very clear in your approach and one how you hear yourself, in different videos that you've
mhm,
or live streams or whatever, just shared
right,
how you coach not just your kids but your athletes.
yes,
Um,
yep,
it's very clear, and that's one of the things that I think is most profoundly um, why you're such a blessing to everybody around you is because you approach I don't know how conscious this has to be or how it just naturally ingrained this has become in you, but it's glaringly obvious that almost every single day you're approaching life as a servant and very humbly. I mean, of all people, and you compare, your mindset to that of other people who've had the accomplishments that you've had. There's plenty of people who've been successful that have just monstrously ugly egos, right? And
Right.
you're an incredibly humble person,
Right.
um, and you're very
I don't
driven
think
as a
the thing
servant.
about it is I don't think God will allow me to be, you know, cocky or confident anymore. I can't even. Yeah, I mean, even the stuff that you're saying about me, it's making me feel weird.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
no, yeah, it's like, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't even, yeah, I'm very, very, very grateful for all the things that you're saying and everything, and it's just, I don't know, I even always tell my wife that, like, it makes me feel weird when people like give praises about me, like, I don't know,
Yeah,
it's just because he he won't allow me to boast, and I don't think I ever can. Even though that sinful nature that we're naturally with wants to, but it won't come out.
yeah.
And to me, and it's just like I said, it's just not about me. Just not about me anymore.
I'm
I mean,
not
my
sure.
my, my legacy would be that there would be another coach who looked from afar and did the same thing that I did, and then so on and so on and so on. That's what being a legend is all about. Is I want to be able to lead that, and because we have to we have to lead our kids into a better future, man. That's my goal, is to create a better future for my kids, to lead them into that, lead them into a future to create a better one.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I can only make a suggestion because I get like how that awkward feel, right? I can't talk about myself for squat, which is why I interview other people. but but the thought just crossed my mind, and I don't know, where this necessarily came from, myself or from God or whatnot. But I think, like you just said, you don't feel allowed to, take praise, right? But I think if you look at it through these lenses of you are being so obedient in your walk, right? And you're being so obedient in being the humble servant and focusing on outside of yourself rather
Right,
than just yourself. And that in and of itself is the gift of the transformation he's walked you through, right? So
right.
I don't know if it helps to hear praise in the light of, man, look at how much God's blessed me, because that doesn't come naturally, right? That is not a natural fleshly behavior,
Nope.
right?
Right,
And some of that's your own obedience to just walking with him and growing with him. But um, you know, I people like you, um, you know, deserve the recognition for the good things you're doing, and the way in which you're living life. And that's partly why I wanted to just highlight all the things that I see coming out of you and the impact that you're having on your athletes and your kids, and the ability that you have to do that in the midst of, everybody's got a challenging walk and everybody's
yeah,
got different,
yeah, yeah,
histories. But
yeah.
you could have easily had a very different reality. You could have kept playing football for other people. You could have, gotten really ugly and angry at the world for how the world treated you for years. And I'm sure on some levels still happens, right? Um,
Right,
I'm 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 so happy to see that there's other been people around you, like your mother-in-law, who have blessed you with, their acceptance of you and their pride of you and wanting to, brag about you with other people. Um, so that's beautiful to me. But um, I, I think um, I have a handful of like kind of concluding questions that I kind of want to go through, but
right,
I'm just I'm encouraged by people like you that live so fully with God at their center, that it just oozes out of them, right? That light is shining through. I don't know if you even could turn it off at this point in time. Not that you would want to,
Right.
because it's so
Right.
bright. But when you think about, the next 5-10 years of raising your family and continuing, to grow in your marriage and grow your business, is there are there signposts along that road that you want to see to feel at the end of that 5-10 years, looking back, when to say that was really a successful season?
Yeah. 5 to 10 years, I would like to look back and the first sign I would like to see is transparent. Transparent. The more transparent you can be, the more people will see Christ in me, Christ in you, Christ in her, Christ in anybody. Because you know this world is in need of transparency. Society, we're only known for just what we can mask, right? Our feelings, emotional. No man should cry, or you know, no woman should be like this, or nobody talks about their marriage or whatever, and what they go through and everything. Everybody put up this facade and this wall that paints a perfect marriage. Or everybody, you know, they feel as if when being a Christian or a follower of Jesus Christ, that you need to be perfect and that it's going to be perfect. No, it's not. I still go through my battles. I still battle with my flesh. I still falter. And that's just the beauty of having that one-on-one relationship with Christ, because I get to be bold with him. I get to be bold to him. I get to be bold with him about what's going on and happening around our country right now with the death of George Floyd. I was angry. I was angry. But he says in James, I think in chapter 2, verse 4 to 5, he says, I think is that slow to anger, slow to speak, but quick to listen, right? Don't allow our anger fest out in our words,
Yeah.
right? And but that night when I was angry, I knew we were going to have our time together to where I could repent and ask for forgiveness for having that anger and just let him know why I was angry. He already knows why I was angry, but I could let him know why I'm angry. And then I could go ahead and give a teachable moment to somebody else if they are feeling angry as well. Because people need to see transparency. They don't need to see a wall or this kind of facade up that is fake and that is acting. you know
Yeah. Yeah, man. I pray that's a worldwide trend. That'd be so nice.
yeah, I mean, it's needed. And you know too much of what is put out there in society is not real, and nobody can really relate. If somebody can really relate to it, then I feel as if their life and their relationship with whoever can be great. It can be great if you and I can have a talk, and you can say, man, I'm just having a tough time. Me and my wife, we're just bickering over. Look, you and your wife bicker over that too? Me too. We just fight over just the little things, and like, right, like it's just like stuff like that. Or hey, man, um, um, I'm in my gym, and you know stuff that is going on with around the world. Nobody seems to want to have that talk, because everybody feel as if that if they do, or if they post something, they would get looked down by their friends or their community or their family, or they will say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a massive fear of saying the wrong thing.
Right, right, right. Nah, man, this it's all about your growth. It's all about your character, right? So just know that you won't be judged by me. We can have that talk.
Yeah.
We can be transparent with each other, and still go out and have a drink, and just be like one of the boys. It's okay. I'm not here to judge you, just like you're not here to judge me. It's the only way we can get better, by being transparent with each other.
Yeah.
Let me know, what you don't understand about the Black community or people of color. So I could go ahead and help you to understand. And then I'll let you know what I don't understand about the white community so you can help me to understand.
Yeah.
Be transparent.
I wonder, the people that don't want to be open. So I almost think I think the biggest challenge is just figuring out who's okay with transparent conversations and figuring out who's not. And obviously, you can kind of tiptoe in and see what the response is, but I think
Right.
that's part of the challenge because I hear from all kinds of people from all kinds of walks of life and all kinds of
Yep.
races,
Me too.
and
Yep.
and these questions of right, like how do I understand that culture and or what their life has been like, and even within the same context, right? Like not all white people have the same experience, not all Black people have the same experience, not all
Right.
Hispanic people have the same experience, and
Right.
um, you know thankfully, I'm highly confident that the vast majority of people, regardless of who they are or where they're from,
Uh-huh.
are good-hearted people who are more than willing to have difficult, open conversations and listen, and a conversation that's about listening and learning rather than just vomiting on the other person.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but it's our challenge is obviously getting to those others who don't want to listen and don't want to
Yeah.
take time to
Yeah.
be empathetic or
Yeah.
feel through some of the challenging things,
Yeah.
because there's so many layers, right? Like
So many.
your life alone in just a little bit of time we've shared today, I've learned a lot of layers about you I didn't necessarily know about before,
Mm-hmm.
and those all have an impact. And on the most awesome levels, this side of all of those experiences too, you're still who you are and who you've become, right? And
Right.
again, I
Right.
think that's a massive blessing as well, not just out of your own fortitude, although that's certainly one of the ingredients inside that. But
Right.
yeah, it's hard to navigate, and I think people are really afraid to try and navigate, and
Yeah.
nobody knows, you know even if people have just insecurities about their own ability to communicate what they really want to communicate, even if they're asking a question, I think that can be an obstacle for people
Right.
trying to just open up. I think the more dialogue that can happen, the better.
Right.
But
Or even if people are afraid of saying the wrong thing and not having a dialogue, just ask one simple question: where can I start? Point me to a book or somebody's written piece or a site or something that's educational, that speaks on the history
yeah,
of Black and brown people. That's it. We ain't got to have a conversation. And then once you're done and you feel as if you read enough and you feel as if you have some insight on the history of African Americans and what they've been through and why they act the way they act, then we can have that conversation. Then it should be more comfortable for you to have that conversation.
yeah.
Point me in the right direction. You
All
know.
right. Well, you set me up for it, so I have to ask now. If you were going
um,
to point somebody in a direction, where would that be?
it would be, I would say, Tim Wise. He's an anti-racism author. He writes a whole bunch of pieces. I had posted one of his pieces on my Facebook yesterday that he wrote about the riots and what's going on. He's a white guy, but he's very very smart. Jane Elliott, um, and then also this book called "Me and My White Supremacy: Combat Racism." It's this book right here.
All right. Combat Racism, Change the World and Become a Good Ancestor by, I can't read that.
By Layla F. Saad.
Saad, and Saad has two A's.
Yep, Layla F. Saad. Yep. And then any Dick Gregory book, any Cornell West book, any Michael Eric Dyson book. Yeah, it's but Jane Elliott, she's been around for a long time, and she does the brown eye blue eye experiment. I don't know if you ever seen that, but if anybody ever never seen it and wants to see it, Jane Elliott on YouTube, Brown Eye, Blue Eye Experiment. Blows you away.
Okay.
Blows you away. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Man, I have one last question.
Mhm.
It's pretty open-ended, but just in case anybody who's hearing you right now
Mhm.
never gets a chance to hear from you again and your insight and your wisdom, if there's one nugget of wisdom that you could share with them that they could live off of, and help them live a life well lived, what would your nugget of wisdom be?
Good question. I think my nugget of wisdom would be build your foundation of faith on whatever you believe in. This is the free world. Uh, Me personally, I would say build your foundation of faith on relationship with Christ, one on one, and that way you will see things differently. You will see things more clear. You will see things only for your truth and not what's being forced on you or anything. And then always be brave, strong, and confident. Same thing I tell my girls. Whatever situation that you're in, it's a learning situation. Just by us having this podcast right here, it's a learning situation. You know, I'm pretty sure once we get off of Zoom, we're gonna talk about it with our significant other and say, hey, this is what I learned and everything. This is what we talked about. Like, wow, like, oh, okay. I've learned something, and I'm ready to have that conversation with another, minority, with another Black person or a brown person. It's just it's learn from your situations of that you're going to go through storms, but those storms don't last forever. Those storms don't last forever, and when you go through those storms, don't wish them away right away. Endure the pain, right? Endure the pain, because when you endure pain, you learn something out of it and you grow out of it, right? And when you grow out of it and you learn something from that, it's going to be a blessing. And so when that storm comes back again, you can look back on that past success or how you got out of that storm. Then it just becomes a ripple effect.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate your time. I might have
Thank
to
you, brother.
bug you again and bring you in the future again, because there's a whole lot I could have unraveled for another 3 hours. But
Yeah, anytime.
yeah, no, I congratulate you on. I know you just you haven't been in Iowa that long. You were just in California not long ago,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's glad to see that your gym is doing well. And
Thank you. Thank you.
congratulations to all your athletes there. They've got a phenomenal mentor, and I know you've got a team with you there too. Not to forget them,
Yep.
but your other coaches and staff there. I know they're being blessed by you as well, because you spend 5 minutes in your presence and you know that you've got somebody who cares deeply about who you are and where you're trying to go and wants to help in any way you can. And I appreciate that about you, because it just, like I said, it oozes out of you, like a light in the darkness. So
thank you, man.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And hey, I appreciate you using part of your Saturday to get on with us, and go enjoy your family, man.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon.
All right.
All right. Have a good one.
Later.